Parvez's report. In that report, detailing all the abuses, he actually used Indian government source material. You know, it was all there. He just collated it, and I think that speaks volumes also.
You have summed it up. The policy, the government of Pakistan is confused. India is consistent in its policies. It has, you all know that Modi had plans to abolish the special status of Jammu and Kashmir long before coming to power, and in his first stint, 2014, he had announced it in its election manifesto. And when he came to power, when he got enough strength, he implemented his plan. On the other hand, we 76 years down the line, we are still unsure that what should be our policy. One day we come up with the one idea, and the other day we have another idea. This should end. I mean, that's why I say you summed it up. Pakistan should end up this confusion and reach a policy with complete consensus, taking the Kashmiris on board and making up its mind if it has to give up something to the Kashmiris for the sake of deliverance of Kashmiris, it should do that. I mean, rise above your interests and think about the Kashmiris who have been shedding blood for the past so many years. Thank you.
Please raise your hands, introduce yourselves, and just address the person you want to ask. Ji. Pakistan, in case you think I'm the government, I'm not the government. मेरा ख्याल है कि आपका सब जी आपका सवाल तो बिल्कुल वैलिड सवाल है, लेकिन मैं इतना आपको कहूँगी कि आप ये बताएं कि पाकिस्तान की अपनी कितनी गवर्नमेंट्स को पूरी पूरी इंडिपेंडेंस मिलती है, तो पाकिस्तान में बड़ा एक डीप मसला है और गाहे बगाहे बात होती है कि कश्मीरियों को उनका राइट मिलना चाहिए, गिलगित बल्तिस्तान को उनका राइट मिलना चाहिए. पाकिस्तान में एक इनसिक्योरिटी डायलेमा है vis-a-vis the provinces, vis-a-vis KPK, vis-a-vis even the Kashmiris. So this has to be work in process. I think that आहिस्ता आहिस्ता ये करना पड़ेगा आपको. आहिस्ता आहिस्ता क्या, look at the condition right now. I think things will have to be settled. When there were political governments, उस वक्त बातचीत तो हुई थी. आप relatively हालात बेहतर हुए या throughout ऐसे रहे? जी. जी बताइए.
I'll say something on that. Yeah. Are you talking? You're talking about leaving the people of Kashmir to govern themselves. Are you talking about the inhabitants of the former state, or just the Valley of Kashmir and Azad, Jammu and Kashmir put together? Because if you, I mean, I'll talk you through both scenarios. If you're talking about the entire state being independent, as it once was, it was for how many days, you know, from August 15th to October 26th? No, yes, I mean, I'm talking about after the post-independence period, and then, of course, for 101 years. That would require not only India, but also Pakistan giving up territory. And that would require them, you know, if you look at Pakistan's policy, it would require giving up Gilgit-Baltistan and as a Jammu and Kashmir. Gilgit-Baltistan strategically extremely important for Pakistan's survival, and likewise as a Jammu and Kashmir, because that's where you have the water in the Mangla Dam. It would require India giving up not only the Valley of Kashmir, but Ladakh, which is strategically important because of its relationship with China, and the Jammu region. And this is why in my presentation I was wanting to emphasize that we have to know what we're talking about. And it would mean both, I mean, I've met Kashmiris who say, well, we have to fight both the Indian government and the Pakistani government to get our own state back. But you've also got to look at what's practical on the ground realities. They have no army, they have no weapons, they have, you know, it's really impossible. And for Pakistan's rhetoric, when they're on the one hand saying they support the Kashmiris' right of self-determination, but they're not prepared to let go of the part of the state that they control, you're in a very difficult position. If you reduce it down and say, no, we don't want Ladakh and we don't want Gilgit-Baltistan, we just want to put back the Valley of Kashmir, Jammu, and AJK, you're facing a similar problem because you've got to get both states to agree to relinquish territory, which they consider vital. That's the difficulty.
जी एक सेकंड मतलब देखें ये जो आप कह रही हैं, you know what you're saying, I can understand the sentiment, but naturally, you know, to get from where we are today to just Kashmiri citizens on both sides just doing what they want to do, there's a whole process now. There are steps. On one side, you have an Indian occupation army there, the most occupied, you know, area in the world. And on this side, you have compulsions of the government plus the absence of any settlement. So I guess ultimately, the reality is that something like the 4-point formula, I know it's a very unpopular formula, but it has to be a process approach where you have to look at both the countries and the Kashmiris will have to sit down and talk. And the UN Security Council resolution remains critical because that's the mainstay of even the discussion that we are having today. So that ought to be there. But finally, two countries plus the Kashmiris will have to sit down. तो process है ना, जो आप कह रही हैं वो अपनी जगह ठीक कह रही हैं, लेकिन practically तो you need to follow a process.
मैं विक्टोरिया जो कह रही थी मैं इनको बताना चाह रहा हूँ, पाकिस्तान नहीं छोड़ेगा जो रकबा पाकिस्तान के पास है, जो उसके ज़ेर इंतज़ाम है, चूँकि वो इसके लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ऑब्वियसली गिलगित बल्तिस्तान को नहीं छोड़ सकता बिकॉज वो चाइना से वाहिद रास्ता है. आज़ाद कश्मीर में इस वक्त पाकिस्तान की बहुत सी एनर्जी नीड्स पूरी हो रही हैं. देयर इज़ नीलम जेलम 969 मेगावाट, देयर इज़ मंगला मोर देन 1000 मेगावाट्स इरिगेशन नीड्स पूरी हो रही हैं. इसी तरह इंडिया भी अपने इलाके बिल्कुल नहीं छोड़ेगा. द प्रॉब्लम इज़ विद कश्मीर वैली, जहाँ इस वक्त एंटी इंडिया मूवमेंट भी है. Any solution has to be on the basis of give and take, and both sides, what is needed is both sides agree to it and sit together and end this problem for good, for the good betterment of their own people on both sides. Thank you.
जी.
My name is Sultan, and I did my from the University of Cambridge, and I studied history, more research Kashmir, studied research as well in Kashmir, and I also belong from. And I think my mentor is Victoria Scoville, so I think he's there. So, and I belong from Azad Kashmir as well. I'm from Mitra, yeah, and I've known about physical coming from Azad Kashmir. So I think in terms of Azad Kashmir, because I'm researching on it, I think it's very important we understand even before India-Pakistan went to war on 26th of October, so 2 days before the India-Pakistan agreement. So they, a lot of the strip of land we have, it was liberated by mostly the local people, and not, there's an argument in the history books that KPK people helped them, but it was largely initiated with that. Because one of the, my grandfather was one of the freedom fighters in that movement, that's how I know as well. So it's a very pro-Pakistan local. And at one point we say Pakistan is doing to Azad to do this, but if Azad is to lead this, India is against them. If they want to go against Pakistan, then where do they actually go there? We have to understand the dilemma of them. Because at the end, we want to improve the condition of Kashmiris and not to fight Pakistan and India. So I think that's we have to keep balance in mind when we have to decide from the government too much, because we have to be practical. You can't just say, oh, they just need to fight, the Pakistan Prime Minister. You just have to be practical.
Thank you. I guess Pakistan's policy has to be, in terms of confusion and what it should be, I think that we have to have clarity in our position with India, and then having decided that we will stand with the Kashmiris, we have a commitment to the Kashmiri people for their right of self-determination. We should, on the political front, be political and diplomatic front, not shy away from talking comprehensively. I would go back to what Victoria was saying, talk about what's happening on the ground, because the fact is that the Kashmiris, there's a lid on the Kashmiri, dialogue. There is complete oppression and suppression of multiple kinds what the Kashmiris are facing in IOK. And Pakistan and the Kashmiris on this side have to play a role in terms of articulating categorically and clearly where the Indian government is committing excesses. And I think we shy away from that. We, as I said, there was a National Security Division when Dr. Moeed Yusuf, etc. were there. They did work very hard and they put together a policy. So one day you saw at the airport, Islamabad airport, this huge banner or huge poster saying Modi is a fascist, and the fourth day, you were talking about having trade with India. So I think there's that confusion. But let me just say this to you, that unfortunately, because of the kind of power play and politics we've had in this country, on a lot of issues, there is this confusion. So that's one. And your second question was, sorry? Yeah, well, I think that it's completely fine for people to have different views. There is a view in this country. If you pick up the media, if you go to seminars, some people feel that Pakistan has a very, it takes up a very hard line on Israel. Why? The Israelis don't help us. Where do the Palestinians help us when it's a matter of, engaging with India and, dealing with the Kashmir issue? So why are we doing this? Don't you hear this? There's a lot of, I hear that quite often. And at the same, now to nahi karte because of what the Israelis are doing right now. But on India, there's a continuous debate that goes on. That too much of a hard line, open the border with India, things will be okay, it'll be hunky-dory. I think that I have a different view, but I respect the view that people have. I don't think that that's the approach to take. Dialogue is critical. Dialogue must be the starting point, but this policy since 2019, August 5th, 2019, I think we just climbed ourselves into a corner by saying no talk until you do reverse. Who's going to reverse? So that's why I think the military command of that time decided to, very naively, decided to say, okay, so there's going to be ceasefire and we'll start back channel dialogue. And who was doing the back channel dialogue then? There was the ISI chief from Pakistan side. I don't think military people understand diplomacy. Diplomacy is a complicated thing. The military top command has a role to play, in the realm of security. I mean, that's completely fine. But the kind of dialogue that, look at, who was the person, the counterpart, the Indian counterpart? It was Ajit Doval, who had been sitting in Gamesha, jante na aap? He sat in Gamesha for 3 years as an undercover agent. And he sat in Data Darbar for 2 years as an undercover agent. And he knew the ins and outs of, how Pakistan was thinking, etc., etc. And compared to, opposite him was sitting General Faiz Hamid in negotiations, and I raised that with General Bajwa, what kind of an interlocutor? And he said, well, he was just a post box or whatever, he was not actually negotiating. So what I'm saying is that we have issues within, and we really need to sort those issues out. And also, it seems to me that we shy away generally. Now, this is not pointing fingers at any institution, but ourselves also, us as intellectuals. I think that's a whole other story. I don't want to take up too much time, but I think we are too angry, we are too derivative, we just pick up things in short kind of spaces and fragmented approaches, and hence we end up being confused whether inside the government or outside. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Economically strong Pakistan is a strong Pakistan, period, and has leverage. So we need to improve our workings on CPEC. We really need to get into CPEC in a mature, competent space, CPEC 2, and not drag our feet on that. We need to not be talking about SIFC repeatedly, but in fact, as the Saudis express interest in various projects in Pakistan, we need to be in our country, we need to be at the cutting edge in terms of supply chains, chain block, investment, in terms of portfolios that we develop. We need to really get out of this space where for decades we've, whether it's the business community or whether it is the state or whether it's been the elite in this country, and just not be living off low level functionality, whether it's in the area of business, etc., or whether it's in the area of business, finance, trade, etc. So we need to, what you're saying is 100% true, but the answer is not just, the solution won't come from importing tomatoes and wheat from India only. It will come from really looking at ourselves, and there's a whole world out there for trade. We must trade with India, but that should be part of a broader dialogue and settlement. Thank you. Okay, so let me just thank the two panelists and thank you all for participating in this. We'll conclude this right now. Khuda Hafiz.